Hello, my friends. A lot of things going on in the world today. A lot of people are apprehensive about stuff. Oh, and by the way, my friends, happy Thanksgiving. We definitely have much to be thankful for if we will simply look for the good in all things. Despite whatever problems and things that we have a quality of life unprecedented in known history, especially in the Western countries and in the United States. Something to think about. And I just want to say that perspective is everything, my friends. Perspective can change your whole world. You've all heard this before. You can look at things negatively or you can look at things positively. And I'm going to talk about a few other things too. I'm out here trying to do this video, and my gosh, it must have been 10 different planes and a truck and stuff. Oh my, yeah. I don't know if you can still hear it. There's one still out there, so we'll see how this turns out. People are getting all caught up in the politics of the world and of their countries and of our countries. I'm in the United States, of course, but really you got to think about it. How much does it really affect you? I mean, yeah, it's going to have some effect, but how much does it really affect your daily life? Think about it. How we see things and people affects not only you, but them too, because we are all energy. Thoughts are things, my friends. Ever heard of the placebo effect? Of course you have. Everybody looks down on the placebo effect. Oh, I took this pill and it healed me, but it was just a placebo. Wait a minute, really? So you took something and thought, take note, my friends, thought you were going to be healed by taking it, and you were healed because you thought it was some special medicine, but it was really just a sugar pill? That's pretty awesome if you think about it. Shows the power of the mind there, doesn't it? So it makes perfect sense that your thoughts can also affect other people. I'm going to talk a little bit about it more as we get into this. And you've heard me talk about how we create our own reality. Well, this is how we do it. I bet you all know somebody who's always complaining, and they always seem to have all these bad things happening to them. Think maybe there's a correlation there? They're expecting all of this stuff to happen to them because bad things always happen to them, right? They haven't got the correlation yet that things aren't just happening to them out of circumstances and they're just victims. The correlation is their thought process is bringing all that stuff on them. For the most part, this happens passively and even subconsciously. It's a programmed memory that's been committed to our subconscious, and we may not even remember it. And this is what makes us feel like a victim of unseen forces or circumstances that just happened to us. But it's really coming from somewhere inside us, whether we know it or not. This is something that Joe Dispenza really talks about and makes sense of. You've heard the saying, trouble comes in bunches, right? Something happens. You're driving down the road, and you get a flat tire. So you start grumbling and mumbling and grumbling and stuff. And so you get the tire fixed, and then something else happens. Something else on the car breaks. Or you get to work and somebody gives you a whole ration of stuff that, and then something else happens. And you're like, man, when's this going to end? So because that sets off a whole chemical reaction in the brain, and that's putting out energy. We're all energy. This is something that Joe Dispenza talks about quite a bit. When you wake up in the morning, your thought process determines how your day is going to go. I mean, think about it, my friends. Think about it. Try this once. Try getting up in the morning and go, man, today's going to be a great day. Something amazing is going to happen to me. I'm going to feel great. I'm going to have all kinds of energy. Just talk to yourself, especially right when you wake up, because that's the optimum time to do that. Dr. Joe, we call him Dr. Joe Dispenza, he puts it this way.
Thought objectifies and conditions reality. So you create a thought form, and in time, all of a sudden, you start having these synchronicities and these outcomes in your life.
You got to see the good in all things, and you got to see the beauty in all things. It's actually really beautiful out here with this dusting of snow. And that's one thing, everybody is always worried about winter. We act like it's a bad thing, and it can be harsh. But you got to learn to find the beauty and the good in all things. And so if you can see and enjoy the beauty of nature out here, That's how you should live your life. Seriously. We have to break that negative cycle that our culture has taught us since we were kids. And it's been our culture for generations, unfortunately. And you can simply do that by looking for the good in everything. You know, just like here, instead of being all negative about, ooh, there's snow, it's cold. It's like, look at the beauty. The dusting of snow makes everything beautiful. So it's like a cleansing, it's like a reset. You got the horses and the cows and everybody out here, all just doing what they do, following nature. You know, it's not the same kind of beauty, I guess, that you see in the spring and the summer, but it still has its own beauty to it. So this area that we're in southern Idaho is actually high desert. One of the things that I want to talk about is judgment. Unfortunately, it happens to be a national pastime. We spend a lot of time judging other people and they us. The first thing I want to put out there is that when somebody is judging you, it absolutely has nothing to do with you. It's all about them. It's what they are assigning to you in their perception, and it has nothing to do with you. But we tend to take it on or get offended or what have you, especially if it's a negative judgment, which it usually is, unfortunately. And it's the same thing for us when we judge somebody, especially negatively. It has nothing to do with them. It's us. We're making the assignment of what we think of that person. And we're actually reflecting something within ourselves when we do that. Well, that's why they say, you know, what's the old saying? What you say to me bounces off me and sticks to you like glue, or something like that when we were kids. So what's the point of this then? What if somebody actually does something mean or harmful to you? Well, yeah, you have a right to be angry and to defend yourself and that sort of thing if necessary. However, I have found that if you think of others in a positive light, despite what they may be doing, they'll reflect that back to you eventually. I've done this with family members and so on. I did a video on this, on how to heal family relationships without even talking to the person. We are all connected, and the way you think of somebody, even if you never say it or express it to them in any way, shape, or form, it actually influences their behavior, especially towards you. So if you think somebody's an a-hole, they're going to continue to reflect that back at you. And I've seen some miraculous changes by deciding to see them in their highest light, in their best potential. It's the same thing in politics and in religion. So, you know, the majority of the people think that our politicians are all crooks. Unfortunately, most of them are. Are we having an influence on that? Well, people say, no, there's no way. They're choosing to be crooks, we're just observing. But we continue to see them as that. Neville Goddard puts it this way: your subconscious impressions determine the conditions of your world. Maybe if we try in our imagination and see us having politicians that actually represent us, that are honest, have integrity, and so on and so forth, they don't try to rule over us, they try to implement the will of the people for good. I know that would have a positive influence on the politics in our country and in other countries too. But that's a hard cycle to break, especially when they're smacking you in the face with their actions, you know, contrary to that. That's one of the hardest things. This is a Neville Goddard technique. It's why I suggest trying it on smaller things or lesser things, so to speak, first, so that you can see that it actually works. Like I said, I have changed how family members who treated me not very well treat me kindly now, because I saw them in their best light and chose to do that. And I have a video on that about how to heal your family relationships, as I've mentioned. This speaks to being able to have a peaceful and abundant and life of goodwill despite what may be going on around you. 3D reality, what we see around us, is our thoughts and beliefs crystallized. It's the past. We actually live in the past. Like, I have a friend who sometimes complains about people never calling him and never getting in touch with him, even though he calls them and tries to get in touch with them on a regular basis, and they just ghost him. And so he assumes that they're avoiding him, they don't like him, what have you. And that may be true, may or may not be true. But I told him, why don't you assume that they're busy, they got things going on, etc., and that they'll call you, and then imagine them calling you and saying, hey man, I just wanted to check in and see how you're doing, or whatever you might think that they're going to say, and just live in that, and that they'll call you eventually. Because I've done that before. If I haven't heard from somebody in a long time and I want to hear from them, I just start imagining them calling me on the phone, and it doesn't take long. Try it. Don't take my word for it. That's one way you can try to see how your thoughts influence people and things around you. All right, my friends, I think that's going to do it for this one. Don't judge others because you're only reflecting yourself in the mirror mainly. All right, talk to you soon.